Easter weekend racing on JCTV. And what better place to run than the highest banks in all of NASCAR. Welcome to the third race of the BSR AMSOIL Truck Series playoffs, live from Talladega Super Speedway. Opened in 1969 and featuring a dizzying 33 degrees of banking in the turns, this 2 2/3 mile track has been the site for some of the most incredible speeds in the history of the sport, with a 212.8 mile an hour pole lap for the 1987 Winston 500 still standing as the all-time series record today. After a terrifying near miss on lap 21 of that race, NASCAR entered its superspeedway plate racing era, creating new and different challenges for our drivers that you will see on display tonight. We enter the penultimate race in the round of 10 on a knife edge in our playoff battle. Rivers Jones's win last week at Charlotte puts him more than 40 points clear of the cutoff, but Alex Kerfoot and Tristan Maher are still well within 20 points of that fourth place line, and the rest of our playoff field under a blanket for that fourth championship spot. With luck a heavy factor here and teammate affiliations throughout our playoff picture, notably separating fourth and fifth place. We talked about it in our interview last week. Just 1 point, the current cutoff there. Who will be able to survive and springboard themselves up the field heading into next week? I'm Olivia Hayward, bringing you all the action for tonight's race. We've got a few late entries filling into our field today, so quite a barren timing chart it's going to be. Of course, not too much practice needed for hot lapping at this track. It's all about what you do in traffic, and we do handily have that opening stage, which we got off at lap 24 to give the drivers a little bit of a trial run through the field and make sure they can find their limits. One thing I will warn them about, though, no fast repairs available. So you have to measure up those moves early on. You want those points for the playoff picture. But if you overextend, you'll cost yourself not just in the opening stage, but all the way throughout tonight's race. 20 seconds left, and it is Alex Kerfoot on top with a 50.793. Just to put that in perspective, before we brought those restricted plates and, of course, now tapered spacers into NASCAR, that 212.8 lap, 44.998 seconds. It's the only time anyone has ever gone below the 45-second mark here, and I'm pretty sure it will never happen again. So make sure to enjoy that lap from Bill Elliott if you have the chance. Head into our 5-minute qualifying session. Not necessarily going to be the most exciting on-track action that you've ever seen, but it is a nice chance to be a little bit of a nerd about how exactly an optimal qualifying lap is run here at Talladega. We'll follow with Jonathan Jerdensmeyer here, who's running that banking on the way out of pit lane. You're full throttle, just a little bit of banking down there on the apron. One usable lane that, of course, you're not necessarily permitted to go to in racing, especially not in the corners. But you see drivers go up to the wall, build speed on the high side through turns 3 and 4, and then a very niche little bit of iRacing physics that ends up playing quite a big factor. Of course, we do have wind to play a factor here. 6 miles an hour coming in from the northwest, so maybe not too much difference on track temp. A roasty 131 Fahrenheit, so potentially these trucks could get loose over the long stint. But you see, running that high side, and this is the question: does he come down into turn number 1 and run the shortest line here, or does he run a build lap on the high side? That is going to be interesting, and the reason that I was expecting him to cut down is because naturally just running another 2 2/3 miles at this speed is going to add a little bit of rolling resistance. It's going to heat up those tires, and they're going to become stickier. They're going to have more grip. Normally, and basically all forms of racing, that's good. It means that you get that additional support through the corners, and you are going to run a faster lap time. But of course here, you don't need any real grip through the corners, especially not on your own. And it's going to be all about minimizing that drag, minimizing the resistance. And so as we see Jordan Meyer cut down to the low side to start this second lap, of course that first lap a bit of a throwaway for him. It is going to be a 55.7. It is going to be faster than Justin Rourke for the time being, who might be on a similar run plan. But Cameron Caldwell and now Philip Scott goes 0.2 of a second faster. And if you want where my money's at, I don't think that this second lap from Jordensmeyer can compete with those drivers. As Rivers Jones sets a 55.0, in fact. That must have been a really aggressive lap on the low side. I don't think these drivers can get there because I think there's too much heat in those Goodyear tyres. It's marginal amounts, but thousandths are what makes the difference here in a qualifying lap. Now, how much does qualifying matter in a race like this? Depends how you want to run it. There is, of course, a point available for it, I believe, in this series. But as Jonathan Jonesmeyer comes across the line, we'll see what the lap time is going to be. And I now look like an idiot. Okay. Thank you, Jerd. Should we just restart the stream and pretend that that didn't happen? Because I was really confident that he'd be like half a tenth off. And that is not what's happened at all. Justin Rourke has gone even faster. But again, it was on lap number two here. We've got a couple more drivers running here. Bailey Thompson, who I'm going to put a quick spotlight on because we've both been running in endurance race. I've been race control over there. Bailey's been in one of the race cars. And this is our quick flight from France over to Alabama. And then straight back again once this is done. That's going to be a fun one. Now up to 21 drivers registered for the field. Coming to the trial to finish that lap. I'm going to need to check very quickly what our rules are in regards to a yellow line rule, because I have not done my research and do not quite know what the lead opinion on that is. We've got 30 seconds left in qualifying. That's a perfect time to sneak in. More truck across the line. It won't be a significant improvement. Tony McCorkle was 14th fastest, and we will be heading into our starting grid for tonight's race. Andrew Davis actually hops up to 8th place with the final lap. And yes, okay, my suspicion was correct. There is indeed a yellow line rule in effect during tonight's race. And with that, let's have a look at our starting grid for tonight's 94 laps of action here at Talladega Superspeedway. It will be Justin Rourke for Goat Racing on the pole for tonight's affair. A crucial point for that position that will actually put the cut line at +2 for him compared to Jordan's by. Alex Kerfen will line up for Radius Racing on the outside of the front row. It will be Cameron Caldwell for Radius and William Kemp for Torch of Speed on row number 2. Kemp just 3 points back, I believe, now 4 from that playoff cutoff. Michael Truder will start on the inside of row number 3 with the aforementioned Jonathan Jordensmeyer starting in P6. And then back to row number 4, Bailey Thompson, the rookie with a strong qualifying performance, and Andrew Davis will start to their outside. Around like the top 10, it'll be Michael Walls making a return after a one-race suspension, and Rivers Jones, current points leader, shouldn't need to do too much here to make the championship 4, but will look to continue the momentum going into the remaining races. Further back, that's Stephen Maggio and Philip Scott on row number 6. Philip Scott with an unfortunate end to his race last week after a promising start on his first race of the season. Zachary Wareham and Josh Coppenall will line up on row number 7 behind, with Cody Retorcal and Shane O'Neill 15th and 16th on tonight's grid. Fidel Fabian and Jamie Wright, we're now getting to our non-qualifiers here, choosing to start from the back and just see out the opening of this race. Tristan Maher and Ty Watermolen will finish out row number 10. And shotgun on the field, row 11, it will be Stephen Thornton from North Carolina. Those are the 21 trucks on the field for tonight's race. Here we come for the pace lap. Pace speed for this track are pretty quick, I think 75 miles per hour. So we're going to clear these 2 2/3 miles fairly quickly, and we will be off and racing in just a matter of moments. 24 laps until the stage break that will award 10 points to the leader, down to 1 point for 10th place. And from there, it's a run to the finish. 30 to 35 laps on fuel. I think getting to 35 might be quite tough, so it could be a 2-stop final stage if, and it's a big if, we stay green. And we have 5-6 tyres as usual, and as usual, some leads will change it for a race like this. I think the sensible option is to tell the drivers, be careful out there. No second chances for this one. The pace truck will pull down towards pit lane. It will be Justin Raw and Alex Kerfan waiting on the command from Barney the Flagman. And it's a late start zone here. I always forget, because everything else about Talladega, the finish line, it's a little bit later than normal. I think now we roll into the start zone, and there we go. 94 laps of action, 250 miles are underway here in Alabama. Two laps underway at Talladega Super Speedway. I know what you're all here for. The roar of this field blasting their way along the high banks. We're settling into a rhythm. We're still too wide here after the first couple laps. A couple of trucks have gotten filtered out. Biggest loser right now, Andrew Davis, has immediately gone to the back of the field, down 12 positions from the starting spot. Biggest gainer right now, Jamie Wright is up 6 to P12. And Rivers Jones already 5th place at that high side. Seeming to be working well so far. Once again, we're expecting drivers to make it to the end of the first stage without needing an additional top-up on fuel. Tyres should not be a limiting factor here. At any point, we could see some no tyre calls, maybe some 2 tyre calls if the truck is feeling sketchy. I would only expect to see drivers change all 4 Goodyears if they're in the pit lane, and if it's under caution, I should say, and they're willing to maybe give up a few spots and charge back through later in the race. Looks like Davis has actually come into pit lane. I've not been keeping track of penalties potentially, or it could be that that was the driver that got shuffled out into the wall. Maybe picked up more damage than I realized on that one. On the way through, we'll have a look to see if we can identify what exactly happened to the 99 at the end of lap 1 there. It's our field. It's actually 3 wide further up. That's a little bit sketchy there. And it looks like the 59, that is Philip Scott, will move up to the high side, not get involved, maybe shuffle back, but has Tristan Maher behind, who might be trying to go the opposite direction. Now is not the time for super aggressive, and I do want to have a look at what happened to that 99. We get a chance, but I just know that if I cut away from this fight, it's going to get very interesting. We are 3 wide. That was a big move down back onto that second groove from, I believe, Walls in the number 7. He didn't want to be on that top side any longer. Feels that the momentum is falling away. Jones considering moving up. I think Jones will move up now, as that middle lane was trying to play both sides. And we are already at a huge scrap here on lap number 6. And these drivers got to make sure that they keep it measured. You can get away with 3 wide here at Talladega without too much trouble, truth be told. There's a lot of room to work with, but one misjudgment, and there it might be. That was contact on the low side. I'm not sure if that was Fidel Fabian involved. There is going to be a lot of room given on the exit of turn 3 and 4 here, as we've, I think, already gotten away with one there at the sharp end of the field. Maybe a warning shot for these drivers to maybe dial it back, as we are now slotting into a 2 wide groove. And we will see if this will maintain. While we do that, I am going to try and get that look at what happened to the number 99. That is Andrew Davis. We might be going from the race start here. So I believe this is lap number 1 of this race. Back into replay view. And I want to see what's happened to the number 99. Not one of our playoff drivers, but I'm sure was hoping for a much more productive race today than what has ended up happening. Still down on pit lane with more than 3 minutes of repairs. Does he go up to the spotter stand to see if we can identify where the issue came from for the 99? There's a little bit of a checkup coming here. It's not happening yet. We could be in for the long haul on this replay, but it is the biggest instant we've seen so far in this race. I want to make sure we have an idea of how things go wrong, so the drivers can hopefully adapt to it. Here we are through turns 1 and 2 on what I believe is lap number 2 of the race. Very close to the 00. You can see the Pete's to the outside looking for the move to the high side. And I think in turn 3, this might be where it all goes wrong for Andrew Davis. Chases the field up high a little bit, gets a little bit out of shape. Ends up on that high side. No big incident here yet, actually, for the number 99. Keep an eye on live timing throughout this. No huge incidents at the front of the field. You know, I think Davis might have just decided that he maybe wanted to pull the starting part, save the motor for next week. I guess we will pop back to live pictures here. As that you see still down in pit lane. And this is our front of the field. I just wasted 2 minutes of everyone's time there. I thought there was going to be a massive kaboom. It could be here. Michael Walls diving to the high side. No, sorry, that's Rivers Jones ahead of Michael Walls. Diving up there. Of course, we saw Jones win last week at Charlotte in that tribute scheme. Now back to the standard Yahoo purple that has already given him 1 win so far this season. And they are 3 wide once again as we hit lap number 11, getting towards the halfway point of the opening stage. And ooh, a little bit sketchy into the walls there, a little bit. As Rivers Jones might get shuffled here. I think that middle line just backed off a little bit. Caldwell trapped the throttle to let the 18 slot in and not to send it 4 wide through the corners, but things are getting a little bit difficult, it seems like. And I'm a little bit worried about how this might progress if we're seeing this sort of instability after just 10 laps or so on the tyres. Jones really wants to lead this race, really doesn't want to slow roll this with the advantage he has in the points. And dove down from the high side, got shuffled to the middle, and then continued on down low. But it's working out for him so far. I think this is a good time for the good old horizontal ticker. Don't see it too often around here, but Cameron Caldwell does lead. This one managed to make it from that middle groove down to the low side. And that top lane still just 2 trucks now. To Michael Walls on the high side now. There you see Tristan Maher flick up to cover it off, and then the 41 Michael Kruger is looking to cover it and opted against it in the end. Drivers clearly eager to make that high side work, but just not able to find enough strength in numbers for a long enough time to have it as a consistent feature at the front of the field. Of course, we saw Jones do great work on it. There's a block there from Justin Raw in the 76. Rivers Jones actually covers it off on that second lane. And they are going to continue on. Actually carry some great momentum off turn 2 here. Past halfway in the opening stage here at Talladega. It is currently Jones, Caldwell and Raw at the front of the field. The playoff drivers with a lot of aggression early, working themselves up the pack. Vying for as many stage points as they can before what could be a little bit of a calmer, more considered middle third of this race. There's Jordensmeyer to the high side, a little bit unstable. Managed to get hooked up though with Rivers Jones just about. And this is the huge factor of Talladega. It's the bump drafts. Just give the drivers a little bit of a nudge. Ideally not in the corners, Rivers, but when needs must, it is possible. And there you'll see the shot to the rear, a little bump up the road, and they'll be level once again into turn number 3 between Jordensmeyer and Caldwell. You've got the bump draft. You don't have to be making contact with the truck ahead to give them a push forwards. You can do it just with the air. Basically, the way that it works is that there's not just a pocket of positive pressure where you're punching a hole through the air at the nose of the truck. There's also an area of negative pressure, a vacuum that gets pulled as the truck leaves the space behind you. And that pulls you back just a tiny bit as well. So it's a double effect when you're running on your own. If you are in a duo with someone, they will fill that pocket of air, basically make you one complete aerodynamic unit, and will result in one truck having to deal with the positive pressure at the front, one truck doing the negative pressure at the rear, but overall both trucks able to go just that little bit faster compared to if you're running on your own. And then you throw a bunch more into the mix. You have an 8-car train where they're all sharing that load. They're all balancing out that pocket that forms behind and in front. And you can get a very efficient run through the banks indeed. That's where it all comes down to here. It's about managing the momentum, sticking close to your friends and picking the right moves at the right times to find yourself out the front of the field. Rivers Jones has been finding some great moves so far, but potentially a little bit of risk being shown by the 18. He can afford to be fair, with how his playoff campaign has gone so far. But a big contact with the wall could put him in a bit of jeopardy coming into the final round of the round of 10 over at Homestead. 7 laps left in the opening stage here. Top 5 all playoff drivers, of course. 8 of the top 10 with Phil Fabian and Michael Cruder currently poking in as the highest running at-large drivers in this event. And there's a good push from Justin Roth to push Jordensmeyer to the front of the field. But that lower line does seem to have the advantage in the corners. It's a slightly shorter path. The key thing for Roth is to stay close and to hit and time the push right on the exit of turn 4 through the tri-oval and try and get ahead. We're now making moves. There goes Walls to the high side. Walls has a lot of work to do, missing the race last week. 30 points down from the cut line. It's not impossible, but it's a long shot for sure. And he's not going to get there by playing it safe. I think we're going to be locked in 3-wide formation from now until the stage break here. But I was not going to want to deal with an inch. So we have 5 laps to go. Oh, the 12, a little bit straight-lined on the way into turn number 3. Almost a door rub with the 76 there. And that low side, I think Catch the Chap starting to run away. Rivers Jones immediately sees that. Breaks to the high side. They're now 3 wide in 2 lanes. Coming through the tri-oval. 3 laps go in the stage. Justin Roth has to pick the friend where he finds it. Cameron Tolbo. Now 4 wide. Coming across the start-finish line. This is going to be difficult to shuffle out. It's going to be Rivers Jones, it looks like, that could be the one who loses out the most here, is just putting that slipper hole between the second and third lanes is trying to hold firm and find a drive to go with. And it looks like the number 2 might be it. The lane, the second lane has moved up a little bit, and he could actually get out ahead of Michael Truder, and he does. He's now third in line in that second group. That could have been very, very tough, and I was expecting him to fall all the way back, but keeping the confidence and still has a chance at this. It is now going to be 3 laps to go. 8 miles to decide who was going to win the opening stage here at Talladega, our final plate race of the season. A big run from the number 30, Alex Kerfman, but he has hooked in with that second lane, not try to take a run to the outside with very little in the way of help up there right now. Of course, a caution would set the field at the end of stage number 1. Caution would bring us down towards pit lane. So that's Tony McCall that's getting shuffled out in that chrome gold scheme. Meyer done pushing Cameron Caldwell for the time being. Is going to get a shot from Justin Raw. And we have actually ended up shuffling into double file there. At least for a second, Michael Truder decides now it's time to try and go once again. Meyer abandons what goes back to Caldwell, leading that low side. The 76 can't follow. He tries to follow, but there's just no room to slot in for the both of them. And I think Meyer wants this stage win, knows how important this is going to be to take his a shot at the championship. For a reminder, if I'm not mistaken, these two drivers are teammates of each other. On 99% of race days, go in for the both of them. They're now pushing on that low side. They have gotten hooked up, but with the battle so close between them for that 4th and final spot in the championship rounds, there's very little incentive for them to actually give each other help when it gets to the business end of these races. White flag in stage number 1. On the high side, it is Jones and Walls. On the low side, Raw and Meyer. Truder try to get something done in that third lane, but not having much success. Now, Alex Kerfman will take the run and might have a huge head of steam. Walls is going to block that, and we are going to be 3 wide into turn number 3. And they're going to jump together. It's going to be an instant. They're going to shuffle. It's going to be the spin for the 18, and that's going to collect a good number of trucks, and that is going to end our opening stage in calamity here at Talladega. The number 41 stranded on its driver's side door, not able to get righted again. And after some great running to open up this race, it is disaster coming through 3 and 4 to take that stage flag. We'll pull up the stage ticker here. It will be Justin Raw. It looks like taking the stage win with Jonathan Jordensmeyer, Rick Walls, Cameron Caldwell, and Alex Kerfman, the rest of your top 5. And then William Kempf, Jamie Wright, Bailey Thompson, Tristan Maher, Jackie Wareham, rounding out those points. Now, let's go back and have a look at exactly where it all went wrong for Fidel Fabian. Let's give us a little bit more room to work with here. Let's go to our trusty blimp cam. You see, first of all, the run here from Alex Kerfman on that high side. Peter Walls goes to cover it. And actually, it's a big shot from Kerfman to Walls. It ends up turning Jones around. And that is where the disaster is going to happen. We'll go for another look at this one. Slow it down nice and early. And let's go on board with the 30 of Alex Kerfman, who's actually getting a big push from Michael Truder there. There's not really anywhere for them to go. The 7 with an incredible job saving that and keeping it rotated. The 30 still getting caught up a little bit. But it is ultimately going to be Rivers Jones who can't hold onto it from that piece of contact. I'll do it one more time. And you see those two trucks at the front of the second and third lane just so detached from each other. That's where the problem starts. They can't lift, and that's when they've got trucks pushing them from behind. You see Fidel Fabian gets caught up. It then sends Michael Truder up into the wall and actually onto the catch fence there. 11's going to spin down the track and is going to tag Josh Copp and the rest of the field who ready to avoid Stephen Thornton coming to a complete stop, basically, to stay out of that one. And Michael Truder, not the spot that he wants to be in there. We'll go back to our live pitch to see a number of trucks down on pit lane. It is going to be, it looks like, Jordensmeyer, Jones, Maggio, all playoff drivers, all with significant damage to repair here after the opening stage. Fabian and Truder both with meatball flags. Stephen Maggio. I said, yeah, Fabian Truder, actually, no playoff drivers with meatballs, but a lot of repairs to take still for 00, 18 and the 51. And it looks like, in fact, those cars are in it well, and they're going to manage to stay on the lead lap. As Stephen Maggio actually be a bit late off pit lane. Maggio will be the driver that falls one lap down here. And he's going to have work to do. Have to hope for a caution. We have a few trucks coming down pit lane, I think, for maybe some additional repairs. We only had, it looks like, 5 trucks come in for a simple 4-tyre stop. And no further damage repair. That is your top 5: Justin Raw, Bailey Thompson, William Kempf, Philip Scott, and Zachary Wareham. The lucky few in this one. As we're going to get stacked up. Double file. I believe choose rule is in effect for our plate races here. But I think it's going to be a lot of trucks single file peeling out of pit lane to open up our second stage. Just 3 trucks lined up on the high side there, actually. You've got Bailey Thompson, you've got Philip Scott, and you've got Jamie Wright. All at-large drivers, non-playoff contenders. Down on the low side, you've got, of course, Justin Raw, you've got William Kempf. 2 drivers with a lot of stake, and ultimately 2 drivers that have gained massively from seeing a blow to Jonathan Jordensmeyer, especially back there. Alex Kerfoot had a little bit of a buffer to work with, but of course did take that shot coming back up the racetrack to sandwich against the wall. Rivers Jones, the spinning truck that ends up falling into the rest of the field, he has more than 40 points to work with. He has a fair bit of safety to work with here. But as we finish up lap 27, 1 lap sooner than we were expecting to be starting our second and final stage of competition, it'll be Justin Raw on the low side in control of the field. We enter the Geico restart zone and we're back underway once again. It's not a great restart there from Bailey Thompson, actually. They're getting all out of line behind as well. A big single file stack up that you would commonly see over in the open wheel side of things. But there's plenty of time to get this sorted out. The question is now going to be to keep an eye on the back half of the field and see which of them are able to keep pace and hang on to the pack. How significant has the damage been for these drivers? Once again, no fast pairs available. A fuel window that could be made for one more stop, but might require a little bit of work from the drivers to do so. The leaders won't be able to do it. That's for one thing. But we have 16 trucks on the lead lap. It looks like all of them able to hold about 180, 190 mile an hour in the slipstream. And head onto the field. Stephen Maggio, of course, also in this group, but fell one lap down, taking additional repairs and just mistiming the run back out of pit lane. He's going to need a caution. Wants any chance of getting himself out of the whole, not just in this race, but in the playoffs standings altogether. We've got Zachary Wareham at the front of the field here, getting a push from Bailey Thompson on that high side. Jordan has followed that group up on the high side, trying to make advantage of this after taking a shot to the hopes at the end of the stage. There actually goes Jamie Wright, and Jordan Meyer follows, going to shuffle out Wareham and Thompson as they're going to slot in. I was saying that you'll notice the banners on the front of the trucks. Anyone with blue on the right hand side are at-large drivers. The white striped drivers are the playoff contenders that have got their customized markers for this race. And you've got to wonder if there's a little bit of hesitance to work with some of these drivers who have nothing to gain, nothing to lose really from a race like this other than taking home the checkered flag. I mean, there's anxiety at all stages of a race like this, and you can't blame the drivers for that, but you do have to wonder exactly how that is going to manifest with drivers and what decisions they're going to make. The key thing about a player is you have to make those decisions confidently and quickly. You can't afford to wipe your feet on a move, to second guess it, to hover between going for the gap and not going for it, because that is how the incidents happen. That is how the bid one will start. The playoff drivers especially got committed. Jordensmeyer is now a good maybe 5-10 points adrift from the cutoff. Those stage points playing a huge factor at the end of stage one. And needs a big result to try and recover that in the remaining 63 laps. Gotta say, impressive pace in that 00 truck of Jonathan Jordensmeyer. Was sat down on pit lane for more than 2 minutes to take damage repair. Other drivers in that camp, of course, Rivers Jones and then Stephen Maggio, 2 minutes 8, just a few seconds too long on the damage repair there. But to take 2 minutes, the truck looks in a decent shape after all of that. So potentially it was just enough to get it fully fixed up or close to fully fixed up, and he's been able to work his way all the way back through the field here. Has led laps in this race. Again, was down in 15th after that incident, but he's worked his way back up to currently 3rd place. Second in line behind Jamie Wright on the high side. And finding friends wherever we can, as you need to do at a race like this. Great recovery already from the 00. We did have a few drivers top off here. Tristan Maher, Cameron Caldwell, Michael Walls, the leaders of the drivers on that strategy. So, potentially some fuel concerns. If no said it could be a little bit tight to the finish. Justin Rourke's fallen a little bit off the pace here, actually. It's fallen about a half a second back from the lead 8. That certainly won't help the fuel number for him and for the rest of that package. They've got to work extra hard. You want to try and stay in touch with the leaders. And Cameron Caldwell, in fact, wants no part of this. I think knows that they should be within striking distance and pulls to the outside to get out of line and hopefully, for him, follow the rest of the field through if there's another break between the packs like that. One thing to mention, of course, about these Craftsman trucks we run in the BSR AMSOIL Truck Series, they don't quite have the same draft model that you might be used to from the next gen, the Gen 6, and most notably physics. In a typical side draft situation in real life, and it's a great video from the legend Mark Larkham after a dramatic Supercars finish earlier this year. The side draft doesn't actually speed you up. You're not really taking advantage of a hole in the air that the other truck is punching. You get a little bit of the clear weight from that, but the really important thing is that you have your nose alongside their door. You're throwing air out to the sides, and it's catching on their rear spoiler and just absolutely parachuting them with additional high pressure at the front of the spoiler, and then a low pressure vacuum behind it. You drag them back towards you, and that is how you get that side draft done and how you can get that slingshot to pull yourself forward. Now, the draft model in these iRacing trucks a little bit more primitive than that. It is a simple additive speed effect for the side draft, unless something has changed since I last looked into it, which of course is always possible with iRacing. And so there's not as much danger with a move like we saw from Cameron Caldwell, moving to the outside of Justin Rourke as they were approaching back up to the pack in a situation with precise side draft. That could end up parachuting the both of them, and they could fall off the pack and take the rest of the field back with them. In this situation, a little bit more forgiving, and to be fair, given some of the racing and some of the dynamics we saw in the iRacing Daytona 500, I think the truck draft model might be the lesser of two evils right now. It's a little bit too finicky in the next gen currently, and this model is definitely keeping everyone together, although I will say the single file racing we're seeing in stage 2 is not a coincidence. It's not just happenstance. To me, this is absolutely a fuel save run from these drivers. They do not trust that they can make it on one more stop, or crucially, they don't trust that other drivers can't make it on one more stop. And that's the anxiety in a race like this. And let's not forget 3 overtime finishes available. Plate races can be known to end up going the distance and then some. And there is very much danger if you cut it close here, if you only barely going to make it to the finish, and then there's a caution with 5 laps to go that takes us towards overtime. You don't want to stay out for the track position. It's so crucial at that business end of the race, but you might not have the fuel to make it maybe more than one overtime restart. Blinking for Jonathan Jerdensmeyer at the lead of that top line. That could have been very tricky indeed. You're never quite sure where they're going to reappear, and crucially, while yourself and the rest of the field are on different planes of existence, neither of you are getting the slipstream effects that we've been talking about from each other. So it can drop walls and Maggio. I was like, who's the 51? The 51's not the lead of the field. No, Maggio's trying to race his lap back here. I mean, fair play. He knows that he's not really got much incentive to fuel save in this situation. He needs the caution regardless. And so he's going to go to the point, and I think maybe as a strategy, he's going to end up being the driver to punch a hole in the air for the rest of the field and let them pick up pace slightly. It's not quite clear yet, though. Jamie Wright trying to slot in. Maggio to move back up top to try and bring the 89 along, but Michael Walls wants to keep the nose in to try and take that race lead. Now into turn 3, they're going to make it happen. And Stephen Maggio now officially back on the lead lap and unofficially the conductor of this fuel-save train here in Alabama. See, public transport can be a thing in America. It would be very sketchy because not only would it have been a little bit of parachute for Wright and Maggio, but it would have been a huge parachute for Judge Meyer being completely alone. And then when your realities reconverge, shall we say, you could find that your rear bumper is coinciding with the front bumper of the truck behind, and who knows what iRacing will do in that situation. In fact, Walls and Wright pushing Stephen Maggio, and they're running away from the field right now. It is not a particularly huge gap right now, and Judge Meyer and Kemp are going to respond to try and pull back in, but Maggio leading right there. I don't think the plan was necessarily to pull off the fuel save. I think it might be to hurry the field up and to make sure they can't do a fuel save. So that's a valid strategy if you're in the lead as well. If you can increase the pace of the pack, they're going to be running and burning more. If you slow down the pace of the pack, they'll be burning less fuel. And I think the strategy there is going to be that they just want to get going. They don't want this to come down to a fuel mileage race. Maybe for a driver like Jamie Wright, not confident that he can make that fuel save work, same with Mika Walls. And so, getting on the loud pedal, forcing the rest of the field to chase you, doesn't matter if you can't make it, if no one else can. And I think that's the strategy that they're trying to pull right now. Complete lap 43 of 94 here at Talladega, and as this lead group tries to increase the pace and get on the loud pedal, I think we're going to do the same up in the booth. Let's, once again, crank it up. field streets through the tri-oval, and this will be the halfway point of tonight's race. 125 miles in the books, 125 regulation miles to go, and it is Jamie Wright leading the way from William Kemp, who's trying to get that run on the high side and trying to leapfrog. Let's not forget both Jamie Wright and Stephen Maggio, who's currently doing some work for the rest of the field, helping them with the field number, or maybe trying to push them along a little bit. Kemp can't make it happen. That's going to get shuffled and might get dropped by Walls here through turns 3 and 4. Might be going quite a ways back in this group. Drivers have been out on track now for 23 laps. We're saying probably 21 green flag laps of running. So you can expect about 10 miles left. Also 10 laps left in the tank, about 6-7 gallons of fuel available to these drivers. Kemp will eventually slot in into 3rd place behind Walls, but is not happy to be sitting single file here. Wants to try and get back up through the field. But Wanton has nowhere to go with the number 7. Hovering off to the low side. A look back, of course, at our 2 prior plate races on the season. Daytona, the season opener, 250 miles run there. That was Traber Burns that won that race on what ended up being one of just 3 starts on the season. For the number 18, Justin Durand finished 2nd with Dakota Knoll in 3rd place. Then, of course, Atlanta, the arena football of plate racing, to decide the playoff cutoff. Michael Walls was the one who took that race win ahead of Brett Bennett and Rivers Jones. So those names are the ones to keep an eye out for. They are either have the plate race skill or the plate racing luck, and quite frankly, I don't think as a driver you care which one it is, so long as it's in the palm of your hand and one of your opponents. So it'll be 24 laps of green flag running so far on this tank. I'm going to pop up this graphic once again because it's a rarity that ATVO has not crashed for this long in the race, and remembered what I've typed into that. 30 to 35 laps on fuel. We're not quite sure exactly within that range is the limit. Or potentially a little bit past 35 if the drivers are being very conservative in the pack. Maggio officially now 1 lap down, would require the use of the lucky dodge to move back to the lead lap. Fortunately for the 51, Maggio is the only truck off the lead lap still running in this race. We have Fidel Fabian and Michael Pruder both 27, 28 laps down from their instant to finish out stage number 1. And then Andrew Davis, I think we're in a bit of a starting part in this one, will be your 20th and final finish result in this one. I mean, this average speed is not all that impressive. Pulling up the qualifying bar here, you can see drivers hovering about the 180 to 185 mark. around this racetrack. Last lap time for your race leader, a 53.063. Fastest lap in the race currently, which I believe does award a bonus point, as goofy as that might sound for a plate race, currently goes to Tristan Maher, who dipped just a hair under the 50-second mark. So we are 3 seconds a lap off pace right now. And that should tell you exactly what sort of conservation mode we're in with this field. It's why Maggio was able to work to the front so easily when he wanted to. It's why William Kempf can afford to keep making these moves to the outside to try and be at the front of the pack. It's very much a patient game right now. It's very much shuffling your pieces in the chess metaphor that I maybe lean on too much. A positional battle, so that once you get into the end game, you have your strongest foot forward and can pull away from the field. William Kempf is trying to pull away from the field here, in fact. The problem is, I think even at full bore, only able to hold about 175 miles an hour. For Jamie Wright, 170 at the lead of this trailing pack. William Kempf has pulled away by a second here. He's decided it's go time, I think. I mean, they surely have to respond here. It's a lot easier to fuel save if you have that one truck ahead. And you can see the anxiety, everyone further behind now, trying to look through Michael Walls, Philip Scott. They don't want to be left behind. They're going to be running 3 wide through turns 3 and 4, and William Kempf has made a break for it here and has stretched out to already a 2-second lead. Again, we know that Kempf can do about 175 on his own here. We're keeping this graphic up. 182 now. 183 for Michael Walls. Cross start finish line 185 mile an hour, and after a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of uncertainty as to whether they would choose to chase after William Kempf, he's back in the picture. They've caught him once again. In fact, Walls and Wright are going to take that run and immediately charge themselves up through the field, and the 09 actually going to shuffle back a little bit. Oh, a little bit of maybe an uncertain bump from the 7 to the 89. They're going to be separated now. Unfortunately, Jamie Wright has the support directly behind right now. Is going to get the push from Wareham and sit and then say, thank you very much, number 98. I am going to immediately abandon you. Luckily, Wareham does have Thompson for company and Shane O'Neill. Wareham and Thompson have actually been working together a fair bit in this one, and they are going to move down to take the lead of the race. O'Neill can't follow, and he's going to get shuffled back here. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of camaraderie between the two Ford F-150s at the front of the field here, knowing that neither of them are in the playoff fight. Neither of them necessarily didn't have too much in the way of teammate support here, and so choosing to partner up and to buddy to the front with each other. Towards Wareham is a Golden Guardian Autosport driver alongside, to be fair, a few names that are not here today. Canfield, Locklear and McGill. But we know what the teammate situations are like here. People have allegiances and cross-team friendships that are always going to play a factor and that I can never keep track of, quite frankly. But it looks like Wareham and Thompson are finding luck with each other right now. This will be lap 31 of this fuel run. Once we hit the line, 31 laps of green flag action since the restart to open up stage 2. It'll be 36 laps to the checkered flag. So really, you'd need to make it 3 more times around, but it's not going to happen for at least some of this group. They're going to be on the way down to pit lane. It's going to be Wright, Wareham, Thompson, and William Kempf all pulling down to pit lane. And that dynamic duo that's been pushing so hard throughout the field. They've pushed a little bit too hard. They were flying in quite fast, and they are going to have a little bit of an extended chat with race control down on pit lane. They won't quite fall off the lead lap, but they're going to be close, and crucially, I mean, they need a caution anyway because they're not making it on fuel here. We'll see what the rest of this patch is able to do. And of course, let's not forget that just because you can make it halfway to the end doesn't mean you're going to have a great time, because you've got a similar struggle going forwards. You need to be saving the same amount as well. In that second stint, here comes Wright and Kemp. They're going to be about 10 seconds ahead of this lead group. Thompson and Wareham, I think, now rolling off pit lane together. They're now a lap and a half in arrears. They will cycle through, of course, in this cycle when the rest of the field pits, but they'll still be close to a lap down, and without much help, they might end up falling off that lead lap. And the real trouble with that is that if you have two drivers fall off the lead lap, as our lead trio does come in, and in fact, a huge number of our leaders come in. Walls, Raw, Jones, and Jonathan Jurdensmeyer behind, as well as Stephen Maggio. They all come down pit lane. They all manage it cleanly here. But here we go. This is lap 34. Green flag lap 34 of the stint. It'll be 33 to go once we cross the line next. So these drivers, the ones that have stayed out to this point, this group of 8, they've made it to halfway in this final stage. Again, that wreck at the end of stage 1 could end up being a pivotal factor, because it just expedited the stage break process one lap. There you see Alex Kerfen lead the field down towards pit lane. That's very fast from Kerfen. I'm not sure he's made that. Tristan Maher followed. We've got O'Neill, we've got Scott, and we've got Stephen Thornton. And miraculously, it seems Kerfen has managed to hit the pit speed limit there. We've got Coppenol, McCorkle, and Caldwell, the only 3 drivers staying out for an additional 35th lap of green flag running here. Notably, all 3 drivers topped off under that caution. Let's give a shout out to JC of JCTV himself, Josh Coppenol. Started 14th. It says higher 5th, but of course, currently leading this pack, leading this race. They'll now dive down pit lane. McCourt goes to the inside. Caldwell stays further back. All 3 of them nice and cautious on the entry. Of course, the problem here could be they could be left behind on that run, but it seemed like they were actually pushing pretty hard to guarantee that wouldn't be a problem. Here comes Jones. They're going to fly around Tristan Maher, Alex Kerfen, that group. The 1 lap overcut working well for them, for now at least. Kemp and Wright, who had to pit first of everyone, are still only in this lead group, and that is a concern for those drivers because they've not gained an advantage through this cycle, and they're now just further back on fuel. We've got Coppenol, McCorkle, Caldwell all rolling out of pit lane here. Here comes the field across the start-finish line, led by William Kemp and Michael Walls. I mean, they might clear those 3, but they're not going to drop them. Not by any stretch. And so those 3 drivers now in a prime position, you've got to say, to take home this race. That was lap 62 that they pit at the end of. They've made it 32 to the end. That's well within the window. That's well within their capabilities especially. They will just slot in nice and calmly into this pack. We've got Stephen Maggio again leading the high side. Maggio, I mean, we knew needed a caution. That's not exactly news here. Maggio's actually going to go to the top side and can let himself fall back. knowing that the fight is maybe not worth it. Let's also keep an eye on Warren and Thompson further behind. Let's see what pace they're able to run. A 52.8 last time by. And that's bad news for them because the leaders 2 seconds faster with a 51.0. And they are hauling the mail to try and catch up and to put that duo a lap down. Which will be horrible news for them and not great news for the 51 of Stephen Maggio either. I don't think the Pacers are where they could just streak past them. They're not off pace. They're not damaged significantly. So they would just hook into that pack with the number 51. And it'd be all to play for. Further back, O'Neill, Thornton, the 2 trucks that have fallen out of cycle in that stint, just with, it seems like, slightly slower stop, slightly less precise cycle on and off pit lane. And unfortunately, the power of the big pack is always going to win out against a duo like this. They're also running in the high 52s. The leaders running more than a second lap faster and putting them well off the pace, in fact. It's the first time in this one. It doesn't make much sense to usually pull this up, but there's your handy battle graph. You can see the difference in lap times. 1 second between Justin Raw and Shane O'Neill. Last time by. They're 3 wide for the race lead. Let's get rid of that and give you a bit more stream real estate. Coppinall, McCorkle and Caldwell are going. They know they've got the fuel. They know they can hammer it down a lot more. They've done a little bit additional saving in this patch, let's not forget. And I think they very much are going to pull that strategy of making sure that the field is kept at a strong pace, that they're not able to rest on their laurels to hand back and to make up for lost fuel. This trio, and Coppinall, McCorkle, not too much to play for here, though this would be an incredible result for the number 42. Cameron Caldwell was down 10 points from the cut line coming into this race, needed a miracle. I mean, this could be exactly what he was looking for if we stayed green and if the rest of this field does end up needing to come down for a splash and dash or to run a hyper-aggressive save. It looks like Curfin is going to respond, is not going to let them get away with that. Of course, Curfin only 1 lap shorter on fuel right now. Has the help from Stephen Maggio, who needs a caution anyway, so there's no harm really in the 51. Moving the pack forwards. And Jamie Wright is just going to try and follow. Jamie Wright in the biggest hole right now, though. As, low number good, high number very bad. Come across the line, it'll update, and I can give some precise numbers. Coppinall, McCorkle, Caldwell on 6 laps in this stint. Curfin, Scott Maher on 7. They're in a decent spot. The drivers on 8 are very much in danger as Jones goes from the low side to the high side. Try and get that push from Alex Curfin now. Yeah, it's Wright and Kempf who are really in a tough spot. Wellman Thompson even more so. And speaking of that duo, this is about to get very tricky indeed. Because here is your leader, Josh Coppinall. And forwards, not very much. There is Bailey Thompson. There is Zachary Wareham at the front of the field. It looks like the pack has strung out a little bit towards single file because they know that this is going to be tough. It looks like the lappers are going to stay low here. Typical wisdom, of course, would... Never mind, they're going to go high late. Or as a typical wisdom would shuffle them to the high side. But it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you're predictable. That was not the most predictable from them, but they got away with it just about. And as we complete lap, or we continue on to lap 69, unfortunately lap 68 for those 2 drivers. They're going to get shuffled out, and crucially, Maggio, who's actually on the back of this train right now, is probably going to try and stay ahead of these 2. to deal himself into a potential lucky dog position. They're on the high side. They're not merging down. They know that their proverbial goose may be cooked here. I think just praying for that big one. O'Neill and Thornton, of course, struggling for pace. Will pull that battle graphic up once again. Now 15 seconds between the back of this lead group and that dynamic duo in the Toyota Tundras. It's 2 seconds a lap almost that they are falling off this train. And so before we get to the end of this one, I think they would also be likely to fall 1 lap down. They have plenty of time to hope for that caution. And as we get to the business end, we are going to start to leave that fuel save dynamic, especially when some of the trucks at the front of the field are so much more positive on the number. And I guess to contrast that, if you're Jamie Wright and you are 4 laps behind Coppenol and co on the fuel number, why wouldn't you just go for it? You're going to need the caution to make it anyway, or to make it at any decent pace. Why not put yourself at the front of the field, get some laps led, maybe, you know, by doing that, pull everyone up with you, hopefully run some more people out of fuel, and just sow some chaos that could end up bringing you the caution you so desperately need. I'm going to pull some driver stats here. Josh Coppenol has 10 starts this season. This is start number 11 for number 42. Best finish, P9 at Atlanta. Next on that is P10 at New Hampshire. And I'm sorry to put him on blast here, but best finish, only 1 top 5 in BSR AMSOIL Truck Series history. It's a P4 at Phoenix Raceway almost 2 years ago. But he's in the catbird seat well and truly, and this could be a fantastic run for him if the cards fall right. And essentially that means the drivers have to keep it in one piece and to force everyone else into a tough spot. Cody McCorkle finished 4th at New Hampshire. That's his best finish of the season. If we go to lifetime stats in the league, we will find 2 race wins. 1 at Rockingham at the start of last year and 1 August 2023. Where else but Talladega Superspeedway. December 2022, 2nd place at Talladega. This place seems to be a friend of the number 2 truck here. And once again in a good spot. Then Truth Cameron Caldwell, 10 points down in the playoff picture coming into this race. 3 top 5 finishes at Auto Club Watkins Glen and Bristol. Lifetime stats in the Truck Series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 race wins. 1 of which came at Talladega. Number 11. Your first one of the season to solidify your chances. Well, that'd be a hell of a way to change your fortunes. We're coming to 20 laps to go here. It's Philip Scott in the lead here. Scott only 1 lap behind on the fuel number compared to that trio. Shane O'Neill and Stephen Thornton falling back now. Essentially half a lap off your race lead. But here it comes. Now we make it 20 more laps. That'd be 32 for Coppenol, 33 for Scott, it'd be 36 for 1 Jamie Wright. Even Coppenol, Corporal Caldwell didn't go that far. It's safe to say that for the 89 and the 09, a caution is the only way that they stay in contention here. The drivers that pit 2 laps later, they're in trouble, but they could potentially make it work on a fuel save. I mean, look at this. There's a breakaway at the front of the field here. Scott, Maher, and Wright trying to make a bit of a run. They're not going to get very far. Notably because some of the drivers at the front of this train are very positive on fuel. So there's no reason to let them run away. 09 now going to look to the high side. Again, he needs to push the issue. He may as well go. That's Bailey Thompson trying to race back to lead lap and crucially right now hold on to the lucky dog spot. There's Stephen Maggio just behind. That is the battle for that lucky dog. And there's the battle within the battle that could end up meaning nothing. It could end up being absolutely everything to these drivers if a water bottle falls on the racetrack, or if one of these drivers has just a moment, has a sneeze even. That can end up causing the caution that turns this entire race on its head. Am I going to use the battle bots for about 15th in lucky opposition? Yeah. I will, actually. Actually, Wareham is further back in the pack, does not want any part of this. I think it's hoping for the lucky dog strategy of everyone ahead picking up an incident in the caution, which of course does invalidate your running for the lucky dog. Bailey Thompson is ahead of Maggio right now, but is being left alone on that high side. Maggio not going to leave any room to slot back in for the 27. Though, to be fair, catching enough side draft in that Ford F-150 to hold on decently well, and actually has a little bit more pace than Stephen Maggio right now, coming out of turn number 2. There go Wars and Jerdensmeyer to the high side. They want to try and get going. Those two, again, were a little bit behind on fuel, but they've been at the back of the pack for a good while now, for a good half of this stint. Maybe they now think that they can start to put the pedal to the metal. Let's not forget here, if we get a green-white checker, if we get a late caution, then a lot of drivers are going to be forced down towards pit lane as Cody McCulloch ends up falling below the yellow line a little bit. So does Jonathan Jerdensmeyer. Of course. Ooh, more issues for Jerd there in the 0-0. I think just misjudging things slightly. Of course, you cannot gain position, you cannot gain an advantage by going below the yellow line. If you end up down there through whatever reason, then you just make sure to lift out of it. Jamie Wright's onto the very top side. Get a little bit of a push from Bailey Thompson, but they're not carrying too much pace. Now here comes the charge back through. Again, Jamie Wright's in the worst position in the world here with William Kemp. So I think they're just hoping for a miracle here. And having a little bit of fun while they do it, knowing that they are the only drivers who have no really incentive to fuel save anymore. Just rip it around on that high side for a bit. You just get to the leads doing that, and with that help from Bailey Thompson. Thompson tries to follow. Jamie Wright down in. William Kemp was not having it, was too close and tucked up, and I mean, reacted quickly enough, did Bailey Thompson to disengage from that contact. But now look at Jamie Wright, once again, I think trying to bring the 27 with him. Because why not? I guess. There we go. Now the 27 gets low. This time the 89 stays high. So in chaos. I think that's the only way you can describe it. And there's chaos behind. It's the 76 Justin Raw. It's going to be a sliders. That's going to be no caution. Are you kidding me? Everyone gathers it back up just about. And because of that, iRacing decide to close their eyes on that one. And the race is going to stay green. Let's have another look back at this one. Let's go up to the blimp cam. Let's roll it back just a little bit further. And that is a huge checkup that came there. Do you see how far ahead that lead pack is? So it's our chopper instead. Big checkup as they catch up. The 18, the 76, and the 51 just all come together. The 18 slides, catches the 42, who again was having such a promising opportunity. The 18 saves it, but is way further back at this point. Josh Coppenall still trying to hang on to it. Way down on speed here. And I think actually might have picked up damage that requires a pit stop for the 42. So heartbreak for Coppenall. We go back to live pits with 13 to go. Rivers Jones is well off the pack. Coppenall was into the pits there. Michael Walls, Cameron Caldwell, and Jonathan Jerdensmeyer are 3 seconds back. Caldwell going to be urging this field back forwards to try and use that additional fuel. I mean, now it's time to use what's in reserve here. But out of that, Philip Scott, Tristan Maher, Alex Curthen, Cody McCorkle, Jamie Wright, William Kemp, and Justin Raw they've been handed a 7-car battle for the time being on an absolute silver platter. They've got the trucks of Thompson and Thornton with them. Sorry, Thompson and Maggio with them as well, not shuffled into that second pack. And they're going to try and run away. But, luckily for that trailing duo, they are closing at a rate of knots. Cameron Caldwell absolutely boogieing with the Mika Walls here. We got to be careful on the engine temps. You can't stick behind for too long doing a push like this, but I'm sure they're just hoping as 194 miles an hour into turn number 1 there. A 50.2 in a 3-car pack is quite remarkable from this group. There's Walls, Caldwell, Jerdensmeyer, and I believe Wareham a little bit further back, in fact. Caldwell backs off. That's, I think, the sign that the engine was complaining a little bit. But it doesn't matter because Goat Racing Truck sees a familiar bumper only a couple of tenths up the road. And at least for those 3, disaster averted. And we're back with a 10-car lead pack group as we come to 10 laps to go. I mean, Josh Coppenall's still down on pit lane here. I cannot imagine how heartbreaking this result is for him. Did a great work there to put himself in the spot here. Michael Walls, in fact, has just gone purple, a 49.799. Caldwell and Jerdensmeyer also below 50 seconds there once again. They gained more than a second last time by. I'm going to quickly pull up all from Alpha to get I know what you all want out of this one, which is an average lap speed for that. Distance over. That is an average speed of 192.3 miles an hour from Walls, and by extension, the battery of Walls and Caldwell. The third truck, Jonathan Jerdensmeyer, of course, got to credit, because him staying close is what is going to let Caldwell more easily break that bubble and get into the rear bumper of Walls. But it really is that 1-2 punch at the front of a line that decides whether they go forwards or backwards. And my goodness, did Caldwell and Walls go forwards there, finding pace exactly when they needed it. Caldwell using up some of that fuel that he saved in reserve. He's still in contention. 10 cars still in the running here. Jones and Thornton fallen way back. I'm guessing Jones carrying significant damage, has a 56 last lap by. Stephen Thornton not doing too much better with Shane O'Neill in tow. They are going to be caught before the end of this race as we expected. That was a projection from a long way back. And there you see 7 laps to go. Just about in the same camera shot now. As, a little bit of shuffling now going on a bit further back. Bailey Thompson, I think, was getting pushed up, and I think actually they're trying to maybe abandon Thompson. They're all going to the high side. They are 3 wide, and they're coming up to lap trucks here. There's contact between the 59 and the 51. I mean, this could be a disaster. They are, the lap trucks, doing the smart thing, seeing that the leaders are doing this, the not so smart thing, and going, you know what, apron sounds good. This one isn't worth dying for. As they reshuffle and come out of this battle, it's Kerfen who leads ahead of Cody McCorkle and Tristan Maher. They're all down on that low side. Cameron Caldwell now leads the higher lane in what is now 3rd place, and is getting great push from Stephen Maggio, who again is just there. Is in the lucky dog spot right now. One of 5 trucks currently running that are off the lead lap. But I think this is where you say damn to the fuel. You keep the throttle pinned, and if you run out, you run out. And damn the trucks behind, quite frankly. Once again, those are the stint numbers. Right, Kempf in the worst kind of spot. They are going to have to drop out of this pack. I think they're just waiting to see if there's a caution to save them. Everyone else can do it if they've done the work in this stint. Caldwell and McCorkle, of course, your favourites to pull it off. And the drivers that will be able to put the hammer down earliest, and I think you've already seen that from Caldwell, to be fair. And hopefully has enough to keep that hammer all the way down to the checkered flag. Now, 5 laps to go. A caution now would put us in to BSR overtime. We've not had many of this season, to be fair. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen at a plate race. Everything on the table, nothing left on the side. There is Rivers Jones. Rivers, that truck looks like it's not quite put it in a straight line, to be honest. He's going to fall off the lead after. They're going to catch him in the corner, unfortunately, so he's going to have to straddle that apron to give them a bit of room. But with 4 laps to go, they've navigated what should be their last lap truck of the race. Of course, we have Maggio and Thompson in this pack. Jones might try and hang on and just see what happens, essentially. But all focus at the front of the field now. Kerfen, McCorkle pulling away on that low side. Tristan Maher on the high side. 3 laps to go, coming to the line here. And there you see some trucks peel off towards pit lane. Never mind them. That is Jamie Wright. That is William Kempf. That is Bailey Thompson. So only 1 lap truck still in this fight. 3 laps, 8 miles to decide a winner here at Talladega. And it's Tristan Maher now on that high side with support from Cameron Caldwell that are really making that move and are now running in lockstep side by side with Kerfen and McCorkle. In fact, coming down the backstretch and towards turn 3, it looks like Maher is winning out a little bit more. They've got more numbers on the high side. It's just Michael Walls behind them in support, but it's not a great run through turns 3 and 4. Jones Meyer doesn't quite get hooked up the right way. And here we come, Popsicle Sticks, 2 laps to go. Maher with a little bit of a run here, 0.5 of a second at the line. Here comes Mika Wall's going to try and send it 3 wide here. They're going to be 4. Caldwell's going to be shuffled here. That high side really getting momentum. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer to the lead. Justin Rourke will follow. They're going to cover. They're going to be able to cut off the nose of Alex Kerfen. Yes, they are. A new battery at the front of the field as we come towards the white flag. If we hit the white flag before we get a caution, the race is official. We will race it out no matter what happens. And it's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Justin Rourke who will take that white flag. 1 lap to go, and it is going to be Tristan Maher on the high side trying to fight this one back with the support of Mika Walls. Cameron Caldwell waiting 3rd in line, trying to find something, anything there to go to the high side. Philip Scott is going to follow and give the support. No, Caldwell's going to actually go low. Fates Walls onto the high side. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Justin Rourke continuing to push on the low lane. They're 2 trucks clear right now. And I'm not sure who's going to be able to contest them on that high side. Maher doesn't have the numbers with Caldwell. They're coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Alex Kerfen is going to give Justin Rourke a shot. Then they go further up. Rourke is into the wall. They're blocking. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer might spin. He's going to hold on to it. They're all going to wreck behind. The 0-0 has a run. Tristan Maher is going to follow. But after heartbreak in the opening stage, Jurgensmeyer bounces back and provisionally wins it at Talladega. And oh my goodness, do we have a junkyard in the back. Jurgensmeyer wins it from Tristan Maher. Philip Scott, Michael Walls, Cody McCorkle round out the rest of the top 5 currently. McCorkle picked up a black flag somewhere. Maybe ended up cutting pit lane before getting to the line. All of these results, I think more than ever, you've got to say, under review. But right now, it looks like it is going to be Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in the 0-0. Before we look at some replays, we are of course going to give him his flowers. In fact, let's pull this box up first. Started 6th place, fell to 15th, caught up at the end of stage 1, denied those stage points that we know can be oh so crucial. Put him on the back foot in the battle for the Championship 4, but never mind. Recovers, survives the last lap melee through the tri-oval. I'm sure the steward's going to have another look at this race result. Confirm that everyone picked up the spots as fairly as can be reasonably expected. And in fact, a nice, calm celebration may be waiting for the call. It's going to be the 0-0. Okay, let's have a look back now at that last lap incident and determine if we can work out exactly what's happened there. Here we are through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. We're seeing the run from Cameron Caldwell. It's Justin Rourke where this really fights. He goes to the high side. I think gets shuffled out a little bit. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer goes to throw the block. In fact, let's roll this back a little bit more. I need to see this in slow motion more. So they're bunched up. They're 4 pushing on that low side. Rourke, I think, just gets thrown out into the path. Jurgensmeyer chooses to block to follow. Whereas he can't quite get it happen, he moves back down. Rourke and Maher are all over each other. There's another shot there from Maher on Jurgensmeyer. And they are all going to wad it up behind I mean, he's just getting pushed and pushed and pushed. But he holds on to it. Let's go back to our live pictures. And let's have a look at our provisional race results here at Talladega. Gotta hedge our bets because plate races always have a little spice drama, especially here in Alabama. But it is gonna be Jonathan Jurdensmeyer surviving, holding on through all those shots in the final run to the line, winning by 3/10 over Tristan Maho. And Philip Scott, a second start of the season, wins at home with a fantastic podium there. Michael Walls finishes P4, but Cameron Caldwell P5. That fuel save just biting a little bit. Can't quite get to the front to use it at the end. Alex Kerfen comes home P6, and then Justin Rourke with that big incident P7. Jamie Wright, William Kempf will finish 8th and 9th after taking that late splash and dash. Rivers Jones recovers for the top 10. And Stephen Maggio, of course, again, also one lap down, finishes P11. Stephen Thornton, Cody McCorkle, Shane O'Neill, and Bailey Thompson all one lap down. Zachary Warren finishes 2 laps down, fell with that speeding penalty and that additional pit stop. And then Josh Coppenall, heartbreak for him in that late incident that did not bring out a caution. He's going to finish 14 laps down. Fidel Fabian, Michael Kruder caught out at the end of stage 1. And then Andrew Davis, your last of 20 drivers in tonight's race. And with that, I think it is time to have a word with... I'm going to check all the channels one more time. It seems like it is going to be your race winner, and what a time for it to come. Jonathan Jurdensmeyer, talk to us about that finish, because that was carnage.
I mean, yeah, that was carnage. I was crossing the line. A bunch of cars flipping in my rear view, but yeah, it was a really fun. I mean, actually, I take that back. I think a lot of the race was not fun, but the last couple laps, there's a lot that I had to kind of go through with that almost Rivers wreck, and me, Micah, and Cam all had to check up and catch back, and from then it was a balancing act of saving fuel and trying to get track position. So yeah, I just put myself in the right spot. Steven was a lap down. He committed to helping me, and then Justin got there, and we ended up getting clear. And yeah, I knew it'd be tough to try and hold off for the win. I committed to blocking Justin. I kind of came down, or I kind of came up to block him, and then it kind of checked him up, and he ended up getting wrecked out of it. So, but yeah, just had to make the right decisions there at the end, and yeah, it feels good to get a win, especially with the point situation and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, and especially with how your stage 1 ended, not the way that I'm sure you were hoping for it after those opening 20 laps. Knocking... Oh no, you were one of the drivers that did hold on for the stage there, I think.
Yep, I got second.
Okay, so I guess actually pretty much a perfect race for you. It looks like points have been updated provisionally, and you are 8 points to the good ahead of teammate Justin Rourke heading into Homestead. So how does that feel? Does it feel safe? I can't imagine it feels very safe, but does it give you some confidence heading into next week?
It doesn't feel that good. Only 8 up, but I mean, when I look at the guys ahead of me, Tristan's only 2 spots ahead of me. So, I mean, if I just execute with a good finish, I think I'd pretty much be okay. I won't have. It feels better when there's guys ahead of you that are attainable to pass, because it's not just a one-on-one. So, yeah, I'm not too good at Homestead, but I think I have a pretty good chance at it.
Well, I'll wish you the very best, and of course, congratulations on taking home your second win of the season here at Talladega. Any shout-outs sponsors, friends, family to say thank you to. The floor's yours. Well done on surviving that one.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to everyone on the call. Just working with fuel strategy was really tough, and I wouldn't have been able to get it right if it wasn't for all those guys. Yeah, thanks to you for the broadcast. Thanks to the whoever made my scheme. I don't remember. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. That was Jonathan Jerdensmeyer, your race winner for tonight's event. We'll now move back one position to number 17, up 17 spots from the start of the race, from 19th up to 2nd. Talk us through how you made that one happen, Tristan.
That race was pretty crazy. A lot of fuel saving. I don't think I went full throttle until maybe a little bit in the beginning, and then after the first stage, I legitimately ran 65 to 75% throttle like the entire time until with about 3 or 4 laps left to go. I really just tried to not make a mistake pitting and keep myself in the right position, which is up front, because there's generally a wreck. Sometimes you can be ahead of it. Sometimes you get lucky. It's just luck of the draw, you know. But anyways, yeah, I made sure I didn't really make any mistakes. I raced clean, saved enough fuel, and that's exactly what this race was about, saving fuel.
Yeah, talk us through that final lap there. Any hard feelings about how that race went down out of turn 4, or is it just the way that it's always going to be at Talladega?
I don't have any hard feelings. You know, Justin's doing what he's got to do to win a race at Dega, which is, you know, you got to be aggressive. You got to make sketchy moves in order to win. And you know, he did what he had to do. Unfortunately, I mean, I couldn't. He did it pretty late. I couldn't slow down in time, even if I wanted to, because Cam was behind me pushing, and he was basically attached. And then, yeah, unfortunately, when we made contact, it kind of shot him up the track into the wall, and then we got like weirdly glued together. And it was just weird. It felt weird in the steering wheel. Like I couldn't. It was like I was locked in a straight line. Like I couldn't actually do anything. I couldn't steer my truck or anything. And then eventually, like, I don't know, like it just kind of like pushed him into the outside, and he got a little loose, and we hit again. But this time we didn't like merge together. We actually hit each other, and then that sent me down into Alex and destroyed my my left front, and I couldn't even turn. I was trying to turn. I had my wheel like 90 degrees to the left going through the tri-oval. I just barely grazed the wall and somehow came in second.
Well, congratulations on holding on to that second place. That puts you in third in the points, plus 12 to the cut, with one round to go at Homestead. We'll wish you the very best of luck in that race to see you move into the Championship 4. But before I let you go, shout out to sponsors, thank yous, fans. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to shout out my team, Radius Racing, Cam for putting the race on. Philip Scott too. He was a humongous help during this race. He's not, you know, on Radius, but he's not on Radius or CHM, but he helped me out this race, and it was nice to have somebody else out there, kind of just non-biased, you know. And you up in the booth, obviously. I'm sure this race was very, very, very fun to commentate for most of it. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
Thank you for joining us, and I want to say good luck next week.
Thank you.
And speaking of Philip Scott, the shout out given there, let's bring in Your third place finisher for tonight's race, and a fresh face, at least for me here. We saw you, of course, start your campaign last week with a great start to the race at Charlotte before what was a really unfortunate incident to knock you out of contention. So how does it feel getting that redemption and finding a podium in just your second start here this season?
Yeah, it's been pretty fun these last two races. Last week it was a bit of a bummer. I wasn't familiar with racing with a lot of the guys. I raced with Tristan for like 5 years at this point, so that's how I started with this league. And yeah, I was kind of laying back at the start, and then started to have better kind of figure out the long run, and I was like up in like fourth or something when I wrecked out. But yeah, it was what it was, and I'm glad that I started then and not like I didn't have like playoff implications by wrecking out. But yeah, so this week I just wanted to I have another league that I'm doing that I have Talladega race at next week, so I figured might as well do this again and get some practice. And I was gonna try to partner with Tristan as much as I could, and it actually worked out really well. And but it was pretty tight on fuel, very tight on fuel. I ran out of gas on the backstretch afterwards, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, certainly impressing already, of course, next week over at Homestead. I'm sure you will look to push forward there as well. But let's talk about, do you think you're going to be returning and making a full season run here in Season 8? And if so, what does the field have to look out for? Do you think you can take a shot for the playoffs and potentially a championship run?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do next season. Been enjoying it, and obviously, I'm pretty familiar racing with Tristan, and to an extent, like Cameron and those guys from that team. And yeah, I am kind of I'm kind of my driving is kind of I have very specific tracks that I'm best at. And I'm mainly a road guy, so whenever there's a road course, I'll be looking forward to that next season.
So Caldwell should be scared is the answer.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations, first podium in the BSR AMSOIL Truck Series. Make sure to celebrate that one. And before you go, shout out sponsors, thank yous. The floor's yours.
Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of sponsored by myself. I'm a freelance graphic designer and / pro Ninja Warrior kind of guy. So if you want to, and I work with a lot of Ninja Warrior. I've worked with a lot of Ninja Warrior leagues, and if you want to check out my work, go on Instagram, ninjafil.design. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I spent a little bit more time on that. Sponsor didn't realize I may have been grabbing a Twitch snack. But that is our running for tonight's race. And 3 down, just 1 more to go until our field of 10 gets cut down to 4. It's going to be 200 miles at Homestead Miami Speedway, a fantastic 1.5-mile racetrack that I'm sure everyone in this league loves to some extent. But that will be the crucial cutoff to finish out this opening round. The point standings currently, you've got 6 trucks within 25 points between 2nd and 7th. The direct cutoff, just 8 between Jonathan Jerdensmeyer and Justin Raw. That teammate fight will continue. Maher and Kerfen still within striking distance. And Rivers Jones even. A bad finish to the race for him means he's not out of the woods here. Only about 25 points safe from the field. But it will all be decided in just a week's time here on JCTV. From me, Olivia Hayward, and everyone at the BSR AMSOIL Truck Series at JCTV, thank you so much for joining us for this one. And we'll see you in a week's time at Homestead.